unforgettable with this amazing deal.
When you meet Jesus, you meet someone whose love for you is so great that you find yourself wanting to be better, different, more like Jesus, the one who has given everything for you.
People make New Year's resolutions in hopes of becoming a better version of themselves. But is self-improvement selfish? Dr. Chad Lakees talks about becoming a better you for the sake of others this week on the Lutheran Hour.
Sunday mornings at 6:30 on WTMJ.
We keep you safe, warm, and dry. Semper Fi.
SemperFiRoofing.com.
Stay up to date with your trusted and relevant source in news, sports, traffic, and weather. We are Wisconsin's radio station. News Radio 620, WTMJ, Milwaukee.
Good morning, 9:01. We have 28 degrees. That's our overnight low today after a high of 35. Christmas Day, mostly cloudy and 39. From the WTMJ Breaking News Center, I'm Connie Weber. A brief but countrywide ground stop being lifted by American Airlines. The announcement this morning, the ground stop was blamed on an unspecified technical issue. Without providing further details, the FAA confirmed the ground stop has now been lifted. Weather has snarled travel by rail.
I got in late last night and my phone was ringing. I thought, who's calling me? And it was Amtrak saying our train was canceled.
A storm system moving east has dumped up to 6 inches of snow from upstate New York to New England. Baristas at a growing number of Starbucks locations spending Christmas Eve on the picket lines. Here's ABC's Jim Ryan.
On the final day of a 5-day work stoppage, Starbucks Workers United says 5,000 of its members at 300 coffee shops nationwide have taken off their green aprons and taken up picket signs. The Seattle-based company says the union's demand for 77% pay hikes over 3 years isn't sustainable.
Most businesses open on Christmas Eve for people getting in last-minute holiday shopping. The National Retail Federation expects to see up to a 3.5% boost for holiday shopping this year over last, with more than 150 million people taking part in last-minute shopping this past Saturday, known as Super Saturday. Retailers saw a spike of last-minute shopping in the days leading up to Christmas Eve. Executive Director for the Milwaukee Public Market, Paul Schwartz, tells Wisconsin's Midday News the market's been packed the last few days, but he says there is light at the end of the tunnel.
On Christmas Eve, what we typically see is the sigh of relief. I've done everything I'm going to do. I've gotten all my gifts. I just want to go out and enjoy myself once before we launch into the family and holiday get-togethers.
Schwartz credits the last-minute rush with fewer shopping weekends after a late Thanksgiving. Green Bay Packers heading to the postseason. Packers announcing their return to the playoffs with authority Monday night, shutting out the New Orleans Saints at Lambeau Field 34-0. Head coach Matt LaFleur quite satisfied with his team's defensive effort.
We did what we needed to do. Obviously, it's hard to shut out an opponent in this league, and from what I was told, it was the first one this season, so I was really proud of our defense.
Packers president Mark Murphy was given the game ball afterward in honor of his final season at the helm. He was also honored during a ceremony at halftime.
Every NFL team says our fans are the best. We're the only ones where it's true. And you're also the best owners in the NFL.
The audio courtesy of the Packers. Packers have been to the playoffs 13 out of the 17 seasons Murphy has led the organization. Packers now improved to 11-4 on the season. Next up is the Minnesota Vikings on Sunday afternoon. Time for some news about your money in the WTMJ Annex Wealth Management Market Update. It is an abbreviated day of trading on Wall Street, so markets are open. Right now, the Dow is up 62 points, the NASDAQ up 149, the S&P 500 up 28. Financial planning at every level, Annex Comprehensive Wealth, Annex Private Client, Annex Ignite. Details at annexwealth.com. Sports, traffic, and weather are next. Siding Unlimited, WTMJ News Time 9:04.
You're right, and I'll agree. It does sound too good to be true. But offering you affordable treatment that alleviates pain, which really does work, that we've seen in most cases insurance paid for in full, is a definite reality. It's pain relief, really. And these are FDA-approved treatments. They're safe and proven to reduce inflammation and alleviate pain. Yeah, you'll have to get a couple of shots, and I know that can scare people. But the needle is extremely small. And after giving shots like this hundreds of thousands of times, you'll see we make it very easy. You're going to feel the relief that our powerful pain relief agents give you. They're pain relief drugs that solve pain problems. And the way I feel is that Rejuvenix should be the first stop for anyone living with pain in shoulders, hips, elbows, and knees. At $65 per joint, per injection, it's probably the most affordable pain relief option available that actually works.
Rejuvenix, alleviate
Juvenex Google reviews will tell you more.
WTMJ's Eric Bilstead here for Tri-County Contracting. You want to know the price of a new roof on your home today? Well, it's easy. Just go to TriCountyContractingWI.com, click on the Instant Roof Quote button, put in your address and email, click the Show My Roof Price, and there you go. Zero wait time. There's your quote. You shop online for everything else. Who says you can't shop online for a new roof? TriCountyContractingWI.com. It's worry-free roofing, siding, and windows. TriCountyContractingWI.com.
We know that the people of Milwaukee are hard workers, that they're tough. But even the toughest among us need help after a serious accident. If you've been injured, call Gruber Law Offices today. One call, that's all.
Whether you get pulled over or get into a crash, drinking and driving will change your whole world. Drive sober or get pulled over. Paid for by NHTSA.
Time for a WTMJ Sports Update from the Gruber Law Office's One Call That's All Sports Desk. Packers took care of business last night. Monday Night Football team shut out the Saints 34-0 from Lambeau Field. Packers visit the Vikings Sunday afternoon. The Bucs have won back-to-back games after blasting the Bulls 112-91 from Chicago. Bucs break for Christmas, then return Thursday night against the Nets. Taking a look at the roads now with your WTMJ Johnson & Sons paving time saver traffic. Right lane still blocked due to that crash on 894, about a quarter of a mile beyond 76 to 84th Street. Again, right lane blocked there. The crash on the ramp from 84th to 894 West has been cleared off, so we will keep an eye on that for you and let you know of any further delays there.
Traffic is sponsored by Richlands Tire and Service Center.
Richlands Tire and Service Centers. 5 locations and all easy to find. Visit richlands.com when you're due for service.
Here's your WTMJ 5-day forecast. Mostly cloudy today with a high of 35. Cloudy overnight with a low 28. Christmas Day, mostly cloudy, high 39. Slight chance of rain on Thursday. Cloudy with a high 43. Rain likely Friday, 47 for the high. Saturday, a chance of rain with a high 50. And Sunday, just a slight chance of rain. Mostly cloudy with a high of 48. 27 in Madison, 26 in Green Bay, 30 in Milwaukee. I'm Connie Weber. Sighting Unlimited, WTMJ News Time, 9:07.
Good morning, Wisconsin. So let's pour that coffee and talk to some experts about what's going on in Milwaukee, Madison, Washington, and beyond. Broadcasting live from the Annex Wealth Management Studios at the Avenue in beautiful downtown Milwaukee. It's the Political Power Hour on WTMJ. Here's your host, Steve Scaffidi.
Should we talk about the government?
Oh, good morning. Merry Christmas. Christmas Eve here in Wisconsin and beyond. Hope you're off to a great start to your day. Weather mild for this time of year. Travel had some excitement with American Airlines this morning where they had a ground stop, and apparently that's fixed now. So hopefully you all get to your destinations. I know that we're entertaining tonight at the Estates and then off to my daughter's on Christmas Day. Hope your plans go as planned. Thanks for joining us on this Christmas Eve edition. I love live radio, as you know. I've been doing it for 8 years now, and I love the fact that we are doing live radio on Christmas Eve. So that is a sort of a special bonus. Joining me in studio, he's been here for quite a bit of time now. I think almost, half a year?
Sure, we'll go with that.
Jeremy Janine, Urban Milwaukee. UrbanMilwaukee.com is the place where you can find their great writing on all things local, politics, and beyond. I thought for our show today, we'd do a couple things. One, sort of a look back at the biggest stories of 2024, because there was a lot of news, and not to mention that the RNC happened in Milwaukee, and that's probably part of this list. But at the end, we'll sort of look ahead to what might happen in 2025. So let's start. This is in from maybe not the biggest story, but we'll work up to the biggest story, at least what you think is the biggest story. So what comes in about number 10 for you?
Yeah, and we're talking local stories only. So obviously there was major elections, but we're looking at Milwaukee here.
Yeah.
Number 10 on my list, construction actually starts on the new Natural History Museum, the Milwaukee Public Museum, which will get a new name and a new location right by Fiserv Forum. Construction's underway, $240 million project. They're still not struggling. They're still raising money.
Yeah, that was my question. Like, how are they doing on the money side of this equation?
I believe our latest report from Graham Kilmer, who covers county government for us, is they're 75% of the way there.
Okay, that's not bad.
And we've got more than a year until it actually opens.
So, a couple things. New name.
New name. We call it the Milwaukee Public Museum.
Right.
It's a nonprofit entity now. There's a placeholder name there now that appears in state legislation. It is technically, and this is a term I didn't know because growing up in my life, it's just the Milwaukee Public Museum.
Yeah.
All other things are different museums. It is technically a natural history museum.
Yeah.
I would expect some reflection of that in the new name.
But now, like, maybe a sponsor name on it?
It could be. It could be like the E-line, and I'm just throwing out a name. I have no insight there.
Right.
Or a name that more reflects a regional or statewide focus of Wisconsin instead of just Milwaukee.
And I know people are curious, what happens to the old site?
It'll likely be sold by the county. The big reason they're moving is that building is just not in good shape.
No, it's old,
and it's
which
not
is ironic because it's a museum.
It's not in good shape, and it's not really well suited to be museum. There's risks in the collections of getting water damage.
Right.
Milwaukee County continues to own the collection, but this nonprofit manages them, and so it's on the move. New museum, lots of coverage on Urban Milwaukee and many other outlets in
All
town.
right, and since we want to have some fun on the show today, your favorite part, and don't say Streets of Old Milwaukee because everybody says that. Favorite part of the museum?
Right. This is gonna. As a kid, I loved the escalators. Coming from Janesville, it was like, wow, there's an escalator here.
Okay.
That's not it.
No.
There's Carl Akeley, is a museum employee 100 plus years ago. He basically invented the diorama. And
they had some nice ones.
There is right by the bathrooms near the Streets of Old Milwaukee. There is a very, very old diorama. You probably overlook it, but stop and pause next time you're there and take in like how novel an idea this must have been to just create this natural setting and model it all out.
Mine is the mummies.
They're also excellent.
Because as a little kid, and I went there as a very young child because that was the school field trip every year in spring usually, before we went on summer break. The mummies was like, oh my goodness, that's a real thing. And to see that up close and personal, I mean, you couldn't touch them obviously, but to see it that close, something that old, I'll never forget that. That was one of my direct experiences from going to the museum, the old museum.
It's interesting. We all have these like memories of a child of going to the museum, and if you're an adult, you can still go back, and it's free once a Thursday.
I went last year with my grandson. We had a blast. He was fascinated by it. It's a great venue.
Yes, it's a wonderful spot to spend some time.
All right, museum. Next up,
the Social Development Commission. That was a positive story. This is a negative story.
Yeah.
Social Development Commission, and then Employ Milwaukee is tangentially involved in this, and I'll explain why. Social Development Commission, anti-poverty organization, financially imploded in April. They laid off all their staff. The CEO was ousted. They've now been trying, the board members that are left, there's lots of board vacancies, trying to pick up the pieces and rebuild the organization because it does provide lots of services to people in Milwaukee that need those services. The other challenge is Employ Milwaukee, this workforce board that does a lot with workforce training, lost its CEO earlier this year, and they're just not going to fill the CEO position immediately because they're concerned about saving some money. And that's not a good sign to just be like, okay, we can't afford to fill our CEO position right now. We'll promote her. I believe it's her CFO.
My question for these types of organizations, which do great work, is they often already have decent funding sources, but yet they still struggle to like make their way. I don't understand this because a lot of organizations don't have a guaranteed, as much as you can be guaranteed anything anymore, funding source, and yet they seem to be able to survive. What is the problem here?
I can't speak to, like, if you pull back the layers of the onion, what exactly went wrong, but something very clearly went wrong. It has funding streams. It provides anti-poverty services. So you're always trying to get as much money out the door as possible. And it just, somehow that all collapsed. Big credit to the Milwaukee Neighborhood News Service, which is the one news outlet in town that is really following it closely.
Let's talk politics. This one has to do with a Senate seat.
Yeah, this one, and this will kind of go on our look ahead list as well. In January, longtime state senator, 20-year state senator Lena Taylor was appointed to the bench. She's now a Milwaukee County Circuit Court judge.
Right.
She resigned. 2 representatives on the north side of Milwaukee, state assembly representatives, ran for her seat. Dora Drake, Lakecia Myers. The weird way of the special elections and everything, they actually had to run in 4 elections.
Yeah.
2 primaries, 2 general elections. They're both Democrats. No Republican registered in the race. Dora Drake won all those races handily. You're like, what does a state senator do? That fair question. But with a coming shift in the state Senate, the partisan makeup, the Milwaukee Democrats are going to have a more impactful role, especially as a liaison between the city and the state. And Dora Drake now holds a lot of keys there.
Quickly before the break, tell me about Dora Drake. Don't know much about her.
First elected in 2020, a very nice, affable person, worked in I believe the nonprofit sector beforehand, and is a friendly person to get to know. She's well connected in the Democratic Party locally.
Jeremy Janine, UrbanMilwaukee.com is where you can find his great work and all stories related to Milwaukee and Milwaukee politics. More of our 2024 biggest stories, local stories, that's coming up on 620 WTMJ.
While you rest on the weekends, we work for you. Wisconsin's Weekend Morning News with Libby Collins. The latest in news.
The Brewers and the Bucks have been closely watching this Valley Sports parent company because fans want to know how they're going to continue to watch these games.
Entertainment.
Ryan Turek, Vice President of Feature Film Development for Blumhouse.
That movie really connected with audiences because it felt like it could happen to you.
And more every Sunday morning starting at 8 on WTMJ.
Hey, this is Steve Scaffidi for Heiser Automotive. I love talking about Heiser because not only do I get to drive their great vehicles, but I also was a customer because we bought a brand new Trailblazer this year, so that is going great. But right now I'm going to talk about the Chevy Silverado. Drove it up to Green Bay last night. Great gas mileage. No problem in the sort of mixed weather we had going up to Green Bay and coming back. A lot of spin-outs. No problem for me in my 2023 Chevy Silverado. Beautiful glacier blue. You can always find it in the parking lot. Looks amazing. All the power you need. Great gas mileage. This one has low mileage. You want to buy it right out from underneath me. You can find it at Heiser.com. Great payload capacity. All online at Heiser.com or just stop by one of their 5 great locations. What else can they do for you? All their great programs, and I've talked about this before. Safe and Sound, Vehicle Exchange, Roadside Assistance for Life. You need a service appointment for an oil change or something more serious? No problem. You can do it online. How about body shop work? Maybe you got a scrape or a scratch that you want to get fixed, buffed out, whatever they do now in those circumstances. They can handle that. All available online at Heiser.com or in person at one of their great locations. Find out for yourself. That is why they are the experts at vehicle sales and service and the experts at customer service. That's why they say every day, today's your day.
It's almost go time, Christmas shoppers. So if you're feeling the crunch, check out Fleet Farm for hot last-minute deals. Keep your feast tasty with a Nesco 18-quart roaster, now just $59.99. Keep your loved ones toasty with Milwaukee heated apparel and get a free battery pack with purchase. Speaking of cozy, get a portable buddy heater with fuel filter for only $69.99. Wrap up your holiday shopping now at Fleet Farm, home of the best prices guaranteed.
Simply having a wonderful Christmas time. Simply
Thanks for joining us on this Christmas Eve edition of the Political Power Hour, 620 WTMJ. Jeremy Janine, Urban Milwaukee, UrbanMilwaukee.com, joining us for a look back at 2024. Let's continue our list. What you got?
RNC.
Yes.
And so obviously there's national implications to the RNC, but the local implications, limited issues here. There was the very tragic shooting involving Columbus, Ohio police officers. And then there was the limited business impact. That's the big story. We've covered it a lot. There were winners, there were losers. It wasn't exactly how a lot of people expected it to go.
Who was the biggest winner?
I think anyone that had direct RNC business, especially people that were inside the
Right.
security perimeter, the events companies that supplied stuff.
Do we want to identify the biggest loser?
I think it was somewhat obvious. Any restaurant that was near the security perimeter
Yeah.
but not inside of it, they staffed up and didn't get the business they hoped for.
Yeah, which is unfortunate. But overall, RNC in Milwaukee, I think it was a big success. Security was fine. And I think what it does is it does sort of open up the opportunity for the DNC to come back to Milwaukee. I know that they were here in 2020, but not really.
We don't count that.
Yeah. So that's an optimistic one. All right. This one I love. Northridge Mall.
Northridge Mall demolitions actually happening. The bidding started for demolition contractors in May. This story's been covered a lot since 2003. The mall's been vacant. There is a Menards built next to it. There was a Pick and Save. It's since closed. But the actual mall structure, the city wrestled it in January out of the hands of these Chinese investment group after fighting them for years in court. They have it. There's now a demolition contractor smashing the structure. The big question, and this is a 2025, 2026 issue and well beyond that, what comes next for that 60-acre site? A lot of potential.
What are you hearing, if anything, about that potential use?
There's been a number of studies that have taken place already. One, the city's really trying to shed that name. They want to call it Granville Station, and it seems like there's a real desire, including on the local alderwoman's side, to have it be a mix of uses. So not just one thing there, but lots of different things.
Yeah, mixed use seems to be the answer for most developments now in most communities. This one got a lot of attention this year. Serious misconduct charges.
Yeah, City Attorney Tierman Spencer is no longer city attorney. That's how the story starts. Evan Goyke ousted him after a single term in January. His deputy was charged with misconduct relating to timesheets and representing private clients. And then Tierman Spencer himself, felony misconduct and office charges stemming from using his office as city attorney to protect his collection of private cars with occupancy permits and details. That court case is still going on, but he was using government resources for private gain, is the allegation.
Yeah, an allegation. It doesn't look good for the former city attorney. Let's go to the sort of the big one that I remember covering in detail. That's the firing of the mayor of Claire Woodall.
Yeah, so Mayor Cavalier Johnson in May dumps the longtime City of Milwaukee Election Commission Director Claire Woodall. We never really got a clear answer why. The big suggestion was it was comments she publicly made that essentially disparaged the work of people that worked for her at the Election Commission. But that really, to fire, you're in a swing state, and this not the swingiest city, but one of the most important cities and one of the swingiest states in the country, to let the person that runs your election commission go on a presidential election year, wow, that is a high-stakes move.
Given that story, and given how they conducted the election, things seem to go okay. Obviously, we had that one issue with the open door on a machine.
Yeah, that's the one thing that I wonder, okay, if Claire was still there and Paulina was the deputy, she would have been on site.
Right.
And it would have been different. I don't think it would have happened. Does that guarantee nothing happens? I don't know. But things largely went okay.
Yeah, and ultimately, often the results of an election dictate the complaints after. In this case, many people who complained in 2020 were happy in 2024.
This is true.
As we all know. This one was a huge story for this individual. Jonathan Brostoff had a lot of allies and friends who knew him politically, but also just as a person.
Yeah, I know Bill Glauber talked about this yesterday as well,
Yes.
but Alderman Jonathan Brostoff, a good friend of mine, unfortunately took his life the day before the election in a very tragic circumstance that increasingly appears to be related. Jonathan was Jewish, to his faith and his friends and feelings of the Israel-Gaza conflict. And my big regret is I, as a person that's not Jewish, just gave him space. I talked to him initially about it, but didn't talk to him a lot about it. And it appeared that it was really weighing on him, and I wish I could have been a better sounding board for him. And the reason he's on the list of impactful things, he was an impactful person, but he was also a large voice on the Milwaukee Common Council that really could steer certain things, especially on land use, safe streets. And a lot of those things are kind of up in the air now. What's the political will going to be to move a lot of those things forward?
Yeah, and I had the opportunity to meet him up close and personal a few times where we sat next to each other at a wedding once, and certainly a lot of events in and around Milwaukee. Great human being and a sad story, but also one thing that you always got to talk about is if you find yourself in these situations, talk to your friends, get help. There's plenty of help out there. There's certainly hotlines you can call. Utilize that as sort of a sounding board, as you were talking about, just to sort of get some of these things out there. And often those resources can recognize a bigger problem and maybe intervene and get you some help. So take advantage of those. Two more on our list for 2024.
The Housing Authority of the City of Milwaukee.
Yeah, absolute mess.
Usually a pretty mundane, provides housing, has done so for decades to about more than 10,000 people. It's been since 2022 clearly just struggling, and now the story just keeps getting worse. There is an audit that's due out before the end of the year that I think could make it seem really bad. But we got the Friday afternoon announcement from Willie Hines that he was retiring. Then we have the revelation a week or two later that, there was this letter I received several weeks ago that we haven't made public, that when the federal government came in August, they said, yeah, things are really bad here, and they haven't gotten better since our 2022 findings. So there's a corrective action plan. There's another, I can't remember the word, an agreement to make things better again, because the federal government is really who oversees the Housing Authority of the City of Milwaukee, and they consistently are labeling the agency as troubled. That's their word.
Yeah, and I'll make the same point I made with the SDC. These are organizations and entities that get funding, yet they still seem to stumble and disappoint and fail those citizens, those residents of Milwaukee over and over again. We got to do better, and part of that is just being solid citizens and understanding the importance of these agencies in the daily lives of people who are just on the edge sometimes between not having a home, not even having a decent quality of life, and getting the next step that can actually make their life better. So really important stories. Last one on our list, and this is no surprise, MPS.
Yeah, this referendum, MPS has major school districts across the state have this financial challenges. MPS, because of its size and because of its impoverished student body, has their challenges are even bigger. That just the state aid is not keeping up. So they went for a referendum not to build a new gymnasium or a new performing arts center, but to have operating funds. And that referendum narrowly passed, 51-49. I was just looking at these numbers again, 80,000 people voted. There were 4,000 people, more than the margin of victory, that voted in the April election that just didn't vote in that race.
Right.
And, voters passed it narrowly with 3 times as many people voted in the fall. That happened. But then what happened in the next month is the real story, and that is MPS had failed to report its financial figures to the state. The state wasn't very forthcoming with that, at least in the timing of when they announced that factor, or when they announced that issue. So Superintendent Keith Posley ends up resigning, gets really a golden parachute on the way out of town, gets paid substantially to not work anymore. There's now a search for a new superintendent underway. There's an effort to recall school board members that failed. At least one member is opted not to run for re-election again. Real questions about what the future of MPS looks like.
Yeah, they've had a lot of critical moments in their long history as the largest school district in the state, but this is one of those pivotal moments that decides what the future of education in Milwaukee looks like from a public perspective. All right, Jeremy and Janine joining me in studio, urbanmilwaukee.com. You can find his great work there. We'll do sort of a look ahead in the final segment of this half hour. You're listening, of course, to 620 WTMJ.
Hey, it's officially tailgating season, and Tailgate Tuesday is back. Join me, John Merkier.
And me, Julia Fellow, on Wisconsin's Afternoon News every Tuesday in the 4 p.m. hour for a chance to win a $150 gift card from our friends at Vienna Beef.
And be sure to catch Green and Gold Insiders every Tuesday on Wisconsin's Afternoon News for all you need to know about the Green and Gold. It's Tailgate Tuesdays.
It's Tailgate Tuesdays, and it's only here on WTMJ.
Hey, this is WTMJ Steve Scaffidi. For Advent snoring issues, tossing and turning, restless nights of sleep, you do not have to put up to that. The time is now. Do something about it. Hey, make it your New Year's resolution if you have to. Advent, great facilities, great docs, and great advice, and more importantly, great procedures that can change your life, change your direction when it comes to sleeping, and probably make your life a lot better. I went to Advent before I was ever a spokesperson, and they walked through all the things with me. We did a really simple sleep study at home. Bottom line is, short procedure, sleeping better, sleeping through the whole night. That can be you. Take the time now, right today. Call Advent. Find out how breathing well and sleeping well can make your nights better. Go to adventknows.com. Simple, adventknows.com. Schedule an appointment today because Advent knows when you breathe well, you live better.
This change has leveled us up while being able to maintain the same quality of service that we've always provided, with no upfront fees and 1.9% real estate commission. We're proud to be part of the Century 21 family, so you can move fearlessly with the added confidence of top-of-the-line marketing for maximum home exposure. And that means more eyeballs and the real potential for the highest price for your home. This is Angela Calais with Century 21 Benefit Realty, benefit-realty.com, where you pay less for full service. Each office is independently owned and operated. With the ability to market luxury homes on a higher scale than ever before, Century 21 Benefit Realty has taken a huge step forward to tap into a global network of buyers. Maximum exposure to spotlight your unique home with our fine homes and estates marketing so you can sell it for the highest price. And with no upfront fees and 1.9% real estate commission, you win. This is Angela Calais with Century 21 Benefit Realty, benefit-realty.com, where you pay less for full service. Each office is independently owned and operated.
I'm WTMJ's Sandy Max. What makes working at Three Pillars so special? Let's hear from my friend Tracy.
One of the things that enticed me about Three Pillars and wanting to work there was their stellar reputation and just being top rated. I got this job. I told people, I told family and friends and people I knew, and every single one of them was like, oh my gosh, you're going to love that place.
Find a rewarding career at threepillars.org.
That's what I hear tonight. Santa Claus making his trips around the world in 8 hours or less. It's sort of an amazing thing, but with technology and AI, anything's possible, right, Jeremy and Janine?
That's right, and he's been doing it forever.
Yes. All right. We only have like 10 seconds, but you're going to stick around with Kristen Bryan is going to join us. looking ahead, what's the biggest story?
I'm going to look at three things real quick.
Yeah.
Supreme Court race, obvious huge thing.
Oh, yeah.
The change in the partisan makeup of the state legislature, does that have an impact? And then my Milwaukee specific thing is, does the Trump administration claw back any of the federal funds Milwaukee has received in the last 2 years?
Oh, big. That's a big question. We shall see. All right, we got the local news with the fantastic, sort of a bonus, Connie Weber appearance on the news, local news. Before we get to any of that, the latest now from ABC.
ABC News, I'm Sherry Preston. American Airlines is back in the air after a ground stop early this morning. The problem, paperwork, weight and balance information, passenger numbers and fuel requirements. It wasn't handed in on time, so they stopped all American flights for about an hour. Now they are running again. They're up and running again in parts of Texas, but they're not, where a line of heavy thunderstorms have halted all takeoffs and landings in that part of the country. Rough weather along the West Coast.
Southern California, storms bringing 30-foot waves and flooding. In Santa Cruz, a man killed after a large wave pinned him under debris. Powerful Pacific surf knocking part of a pier into the ocean. Oh my God. Restrooms at the far end of the wharf breaking up and bobbing in the water. A man in a hard hat and another man near heavy equipment seen waving their arms, floating on the wreckage.
ABC's Ariel Reshev. Snow in the Northeast as well this Christmas Eve. This is ABC News.
Citing Unlimited WTMJ News Time 9:31, I'm Connie Weber. Former Ripon Fire Chief Timothy Saul pleads guilty to credit card fraud using his fire district's card for over $30,000 of personal purchases. Transactions range from electricity bills to hotel stays between 2016 and 2022. He paid off the balance with his own money and didn't use any public funds. The card's limit was $34,000, allowing Saul to protect his own credit while accruing a high balance with late fees. He must now pay a total of $3,000 in fines. Double shooting in Milwaukee leaves two, ages 42 and 24, dead. Happened around 1:30 Monday afternoon near 38th and Nash. Circumstances surrounding the shooting aren't clear. Hazmat scare at the Milwaukee County Safety Building. A staff member at the district attorney's office opened a piece of mail containing a white powder Monday afternoon. Milwaukee Fire Department evacuated the office the staffer was in, but not the whole building. DA's office says no one was medically affected by the incident. It's unclear where the mail came from or to whom it was addressed. Time for some news about your money and the WTMJ Annex Wealth Management Market Update. It's going to be a short trading day on Wall Street, but the markets are open. Dow is up 139 at 43,046 points. NASDAQ up 162, 19,927. S&P 500 up 36 at 6,010. Financial planning at every level. Annex Comprehensive Wealth, Annex Private Client, Annex Ignite. Details at annexwealth.com. Taking a look at the roads now with your WTMJ Johnson & Sons paving time saver traffic. Earlier crash has been cleared. There is a disabled vehicle. It's off right, blocking the right shoulder. This is going to be I-41 south at the ramp from Rawson Avenue. But again, everything else in the freeway system looking pretty clear this hour. Here's your WTMJ 5-day forecast. It's going to be cloudy and 35 today, overnight low 28. Christmas Day, mostly cloudy, high 39. Slight chance of rain on Thursday, 43 for the high. Rain likely on Friday, 47. Chance of rain on Saturday, high 50. And slight chance of rain on Sunday, mostly cloudy with a high 48. 27 in Madison, 26 in Green Bay, 30 in Milwaukee. I'm Connie Weber, citing Unlimited WTMJ News Time 9:33.
Transform your cabinet doors to present a beautiful, customized look for your kitchen. With the help of Less's Glass, the new look you want for your kitchen can be achieved, and for far less than if you completely replace your cabinet doors. With over 60 different glass styles to choose from displayed in cabinet doors in our showroom, you'll be able to visualize which style will look best in your home. And we do all the work. In most cases, even if you have all wood cabinets, you just bring in your cabinet doors, and we can mill out the wood inserts to accept the glass and replace them with your new glass inserts. Think about it. Your new glass inserts along with some new hardware, and you have a great new look for your cabinets for less. This is Stacy Sinks with Less's Glass Service. If it's a new glass shower door, fogged or broken insulated glass replacement, or affordable glass and mirror home decor that you've been looking for, you just can't pass on Less's Glass. Less's Glass Service, serving all of southeastern Wisconsin. Find us at lessglassservice.com.
Do you know how much money in your 401k or IRA is actually yours? Or will the government take a bigger chunk than you thought? Remember, you might still owe taxes on that money. I'm Tony Drake from Drake & Associates, and I believe it's your money and you deserve to know what's at stake. At Drake & Associates, we believe you deserve to keep more of what you earned. That's why we're here to help you navigate the confusing world of retirement taxes. We'd like to offer you our free Retirement Ready Toolkit. Right now, taxes are historically low, but they won't be this low forever. So text TAX to 414-409-9982 today to get your complimentary toolkit. That's TAX to 414-409-9982. You work hard for your money, and we'll work hard for you.
Drake & Associates is an independent investment advisory firm that offers different investment vehicles. All insurance products are backed by the issuing insurance company. This commercial is provided for informational purposes only.
This is Christ the King, whom shepherds guard.
All right, refresh my memory. Who's this again? This guy?
Josh Groban, apparently.
Josh Groban, yeah, like an Andrea Bocelli wannabe. Yes, Josh Groban. He's got a lovely voice. Kristen Bride joining us, and first appearance on my show, young Frankie in studio as well.
Frankie.
1-year-old Frankie.
1-year-old Frankie. This is what happens when you make when you don't say no to anything, and you tell Steve that you will be on the air, and you forget to talk to your spouse of who's going to be watching the baby because it's a holiday.
And he's busy today. Jeremy, Janine, sticking around for one segment. Let's just sort of tee up 2025, things that might be on our radar, things we'll be talking about on this show and your show in the afternoon, spanning the state, 1 to 3 on 620 WTMJ. What are we thinking? What's going to happen? What's the big story of 2025 locally?
Does Frankie want to go first?
I think she's got a lot to say about it. I think she's really excited about the budget negotiations and see what happens there. The Supreme Court.
Yeah, what's Frankie's take in the Supreme Court race?
There we go.
Apparently not positive. Yeah, that's certainly going to be the story. And we're going to see money spent like nobody's business.
That really will be something to see.
For the Supreme Court,
Yeah, I mean, it broke records last time. I would not be shocked if it went 50% higher, maybe double what was spent last time, because this is such a big story in Wisconsin with Act 10 now.
Yeah.
Obviously, what happens with abortion and some of those things could be settled sort of before that, but all of these things now with the shifting political climate, different majorities or lack of majorities in the Assembly and the Senate, all these things could move in 2025 and beyond.
Do you think there's going to be a difference as far as how Act, because I think it was, you were out, I was covering for you, and McCoshen made the point as far as Act 10, and it was a loser for Democrats back in 2011, but the fact that, I don't know, the Republican Party is also more populist now than it was that long ago.
I don't think any of us know what's going to happen in 2025 because we haven't seen what day one of the Trump administration is like. You were talking about clawing back some of the funds that get sent to Milwaukee and what that might look like. All of these things have significant implications. I raised this point 2 weeks ago, and I sort of brought it back yesterday. The impact of the deportation story, what impact that might have on Wisconsin industry, like dairy, like construction, like landscaping in the summer. All these places that utilize these workers, they may be seriously challenged in 2025.
Yeah, and all those things have upstream impacts. If construction melts down because it can't get the laborers it needs, that impacts everything else that's building anything. And also they all share a labor pool. Every job in America is a job that someone else could have that's in some different field. And so all of a sudden, if we just have fewer people working in more jobs, massive crisis on our hands. The one thing I'm watching that really hit the bricks this week was on the south side of Milwaukee, there were bags found that had some really gross messages about deportation and warnings. Common Council President Jose G. Perez came out and was like, we need to build a coalition now. And I think he probably should have been thinking about that on November 6th. But the coalition now to think, how are we going to respond as Milwaukee, as a community that's 20% Hispanic, to the issue of deportation? Because we're not talking about deporting every Hispanic person, but there are some people that make it seem that way, and that's really gross and ugly and bad.
As someone who raised a family and understands the dynamics of what that means, when you have uncertainty in your lives, and that could be a family member who maybe doesn't have a clear record when it comes to the paperwork of immigration or something like that, all of that uncertainty causes chaos and, in some cases, panic. And when you interject the economy, the state economy, and all these industries that might be impacted, you can blow up what is a pretty solid running economy, national economy, world economy, in a really short amount of time with all of that uncertainty and chaos. That's the fear that I have.
Yeah, and we talk a lot about the economy here, about that. It's real people, too, that are just lives are going to be destroyed in these cases where families are going to be stressed to the max. But certainly, removing a large percentage of people from the economy is bad things are going to happen.
What do you think about 2025? What are you worried about, excited about?
Excited about. I don't know. I mean, I think there's going to be, at least we have job security. I would say that as far as the ability of what the news cycle is already like, and what it will continue to be like as far as the Trump administration coming into power, and what happens with infighting inside of the Republican Party that I think is inevitable, but also how Democrats try to, like, who chooses to work together, who chooses to be resistant. So I think at the federal level, there's certainly going to be a lot of stories. And then we talked about all the things that are also going to be happening in Wisconsin.
Yeah, one of the things that's not talked about enough is that the slim majorities in the Senate and the House, that's often not a recipe for success, because it doesn't take much to splinter the majority party, and then you can't get anything done. And if we're talking 2 years, then you got midterms, which could be another referendum on all the things that are happening in this country. You're going to stick around for one more segment?
I am.
Where the heck did Frankie go?
She's in with Jazz.
Okay.
I don't know how Jazz is doing, but we'll check at commercial.
Jeremy, have a great Christmas and holiday season. We'll talk to you in the new year.
Merry Christmas to you, too.
All right. We'll take a quick break here. 620 WTMJ.
Welcome back to Ask Hasselus.
If you could spend 1 month anywhere, where would you go?
Easy. I'd go to bed.
I mean, anywhere in the world.
Precisely.
You'd spend the entire month in bed?
Specifically, a new Tempur-Pedic from Hasselus Mattress.
Why?
Because I can take 60 months to pay for it. Through Monday, get 60 months interest-free financing on select Tempur-Pedic mattresses, plus a $300 MasterCard gift card.
60 months. That means...
You can buy a Queen Tempur-Pedic ProAdapt Hybrid with ease adjustable base for just $74 a month.
And I get a $300 MasterCard gift card.
Free next-day delivery and employee-free showrooms, too.
So I can try and buy...
With no pushy sales guy.
Hang on.
What are you doing?
Searching for a travel agent to book a month-long vacation at Hasselus Mattress.
Enjoy 60 months interest-free financing on select Tempur-Pedics through Monday at Hasselus Mattress. Open 9 to 9. Find an employee-free showroom near you or shop online at Hasselus.com.
In 1964, we were making strides towards space travel.
Mary Poppins was the #1 movie in theaters.
And the Beatles were taking America by storm.
Which was long before I was born.
Facts. 1964 is also the year it all started for Richland's Tire and Service Centers. 60 years of continuous growth and more happy customers than you can shake a stick at.
Okay, the streamers are a bit overkill. It's just us in the studio.
All right. But it's important to know accomplishments like these aren't possible without a dedicated team. So hats off to them and our founder, my dad, Dick Mitchke, for understanding the importance of customer focus.
Facts. There's no 60 years of anything without you, the customer, which is why our focus will remain on you and only you for years to come.
Thank you from all of us here at Richland's Tire and Service Centers.
Richland's Tire and Service, such a refreshing change. Richland's.
Fleet Farm's got everything you need for everyday life. Brands from Carhartt to Milwaukee to Purina to Goodyear to Rapala to Levi's and a whole lot more. In-store or online, check out all the brands Fleet Farm carries to help make your everyday life better.
Hey, you probably know this, but it's Christmas Eve. Are you still shopping? Stop at the amazing Mind Chef restaurant in Hartford. They will hook you up. Gift cards make perfect holiday gifts. WTMJ's John Mercure here. Or what about a stocking stuffer? That'll fit in that stocking. The Mind Chef's open until 6 o'clock today for last-minute gift cards. Buy $100 in gift cards, get $20 free. Gift cards make great Christmas gifts as everyone loves a free meal. Take a break from shopping for lunch or an early dinner. The authentic Mexican buffet is all you can eat, just $9.99 today. The kids' menu starts at $3.99. The Mind Chef's Christmas Eve happy hour is from 2 till 5 with half-price beers, cocktails, and appetizers. Meet your friends and coworkers for half-price beers and cocktails. Just walk on in for the Mind Chef's all-you-can-eat Mexican buffet for under $10. Half-price beers, half-price cocktails from 2 till 5, and those last-minute gift cards. The Mind Chef in beautiful downtown Hartford. Merry Christmas from the Mind Chef.
All right, as we wonder where Frankie is in the building, the 1-year-old just toddling off somewhere.
She's running the place.
Kristen,
already.
I actually love the music. Thanks for playing that. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. And to the texters who are wondering what my schedule is next week, well, thanks for the interest. I'm only off New Year's Day. I'm working Monday and Tuesday and Thursday and Friday, so regular shows.
Regular shows.
I'm still trying to see who's going to join me on Monday. It's going to be one of the local journalists, probably. All right, so we have a big announcement for 2025
I know.
that I wanted to highlight, and we'll go into more detail. But you and I have a special report because, as people know now famously, I brought you on my show 2 incarnations ago, and you were brilliant.
2020.
Was it that long ago?
It was before.
Are you
It was
serious?
before the 2020 election. It was.
How do I not remember that?
It was before I had officially moved to Milwaukee. I was like in preparation to move to Milwaukee because I remember specifically the first. I was on a Friday forum.
Yeah, that's
and
right, yeah.
I took the call from Wisconsin Rapids, and then I think once I moved here, you and I had coffee.
Yeah.
In Shorewood, and you're like, why don't you just start coming in once a week? Well, but was it coming in? I didn't actually start coming into the studio until spring of 2021 when people could come back into the studio. So I was just calling in every Wednesday for, I don't know,
and now
almost a year, over a year.
Yeah, and now you have your own radio show.
And now I have my own
Spanning
radio
State,
show
which I
here.
listened to on my drive to Green Bay. Thanks for having me on the program. So we thought long and hard about how can we do more stuff together. And anybody who listens to WTMJ knows that we also are making a big digital push. And for the folks out there, like, what do you mean by that? Well, it's just not just live radio, but all the things that we record and push out over social media and the vast internet. And it's a way to capture audiences that maybe don't consume live radio programs.
Yeah. Watch on demand, as they say.
Yeah, and
on their time when they want to listen to it, whenever in their day they have time to.
And you are so good at this already because you've done a lot of this stuff in your As Goes Wisconsin and that life and all the other things you've done in your short time on this planet. And you're not even 40 yet.
I'm not 40 yet.
Yeah, you
not
youngster.
Yet.
You youngster. So you and I are going to do a podcast next year.
I know. I'm very excited about it.
It's going to be
fun. We can also curse on it because it's a podcast.
Yes, we can. Why does that get you excited?
No, but I'm excited because I think one of the unique things about our friendship has always been, obviously you're a man and I'm a woman. You're a boomer and I am a millennial. You lean right and I lean left. And yet, look at us.
Yes.
Look at us having constructive conversations.
Like your conversation yesterday with CJ Safer, IRG,
exactly.
that you can have these conversations. And I think we blend well enough that we could just go at each other in a nice way or not go at each other.
I think we both have thick skin when it comes to one another, that we can poke and prod a little bit without any hurt feelings.
And I think we can say the name now. The name of the podcast is You Need to Listen.
Yep.
And I'm sort of
layers to that.
Yeah, oh yes.
You at home need to listen. Steve, you need to listen.
And I've told people the name, and they're like, oh, that sounds kind of interesting.
Yeah.
And then when I tell them you're involved,
do you want to tell them what our first topic's going to be?
You tell them. That was your idea.
So one of the things I think is fascinating is the fact that should I come back and explain it?
No, go ahead. You got a minute.
I think there's more complexity to our political leanings than right and left. Like, I think there's more to it than that kind of binary. And so I took from Pew Research, they have a quiz you can take that in 9 different political categories of where you stand. And I think as people now accuse you of being liberal, people, have put their projections on what my political leaning is, I thought it'd be fun to take this quiz and learn a little bit more about where we actually fall when you have more than 2 options.
And I looked at the questions. I'm excited to talk about them. That'll be our first episode sometime in early January. You Need to Listen podcast. Kristen Bry, yours truly. All right, I'm going to let you find Frankie. Have a great Christmas.
You too.
Her first Christmas? Second Christmas?
Second Christmas. First Christmas, having a little bit more of being more than a potato.
She was a blob.
Yeah.
All right, Merry Christmas.
Merry
Happy
Christmas.
holidays. Quick break, and we'll wrap up the Christmas Eve edition Political Power Hour on 620 WTMJ.
Wisconsin winters are unpredictable.
This is history. Never had a tornado touchdown in February.
We keep you updated on blizzards.
Winter storm warning has been issued for all of southeast Wisconsin, and it's going to get really, really dicey.
Blackouts.
Tens of thousands of customers across southeast Wisconsin are without power this morning.
Icy roads.
Very, very slick conditions pretty much everywhere.
And more. With WTMJ Fleet Farm Storm Team alerts on air and at WTMJ.com.
WTMJ's Eric Bilstead here. Better is around the corner in 2025. Feeling better. Getting rid of joint pain once and for all. QC Kinetics patients are able to walk up and down stairs, sleep without pain. Basically, they feel normal again. That can be you. The time is now. Take action to get the pain relief you deserve in 2025. Call QC Kinetics and say goodbye to the shoulder, the knee, or the back pain. QC Kinetics local medical professionals are waiting for you. Regenerative medicine means starting the new year without achy joints. No more pain pills, no steroid shots. The best part, no surgery. Call QC Kinetics today, 414-285-3474. 414-285-3474. Meet their local folks in Greenfield or their clinic in Mequon. I've been there. Great people looking to work with you. And the best part, you can use your FSA dollars. Live the best life in 2025. 414-285-3474. Call QC Kinetics today.
Accunet Mortgage is an equal housing lender. NMLS ID 255368.
Patrick and Monica initially chose a bank to get pre-approved and provide financing for the purchase of their first home. But they were getting a bad feeling when a week after their offer was accepted, the bank still hadn't locked in their rate, nor had the appraisal been ordered. Monica shared her concerns with a friend who happened to be a multi-time Accunet client. That led to Monica connecting with one of our senior loan consultants the same day, and after gathering some information and reviewing options, we locked in their rate right then and there with loan costs $3,600 lower than what the bank had quoted. The appraisal was ordered right away too, and the loan closed on time just 3 weeks later. We also noticed an oversight in the contract that led to a $3,000 credit from the seller. You can get a generic pre-approval and average or worse service from a bank, or you can get the kind of fast service, advice, attention to detail, and savings that made Monica and Patrick Accunet's latest raving fans. All you got to do to get started is click on the blue button at Accunet.com. That's ACCUNET.com.
WTMJ's Vince Vitrano with the perfect holiday gift, a new garage door. Lifetime Door Company transformed the look of my family's home with a beautiful made-in-America garage door. You never realize how much your home's curb appeal depends on that huge space. Lifetime Door Company's experts help you choose the right door to fit your style. And they have the service team you expect from a local family-owned business. Here's the holiday deal. Tell them Vinny sent you. They'll knock 5% off the total purchase on all service and installation. LifetimeDoor.net.
WTMJ, W277CV, and WKTI HD2 Milwaukee. From the Annex Wealth Management Studios, this is News Radio WTMJ, a Good Karma brand station.
We wish you the merriest, the merriest.
Oh, yes. Merry Christmas, everybody. Christmas Eve, of course. And I know some people celebrate a lot of stuff on Christmas Eve. I think most. I mean, that's not even the case anymore to do it on Christmas Day. But however you do it, and I can't remember Hanukkah, which begins Christmas Day evening, I believe. Or is it Christmas Day evening for 8 nights. We had great guests yesterday talking about that. Bill Glauber, veteran journalist. A couple thoughts before we wrap it up for Christmas Eve. And couple things. I want to tease our holiday special. So it's some of our best conversation. It's 2 hours, and it'll be running in and around New Year's. Some of our best conversations in the first hour. And then my pal, my buddy, great chef, Michael Fecker from Il Mito and other restaurant fame, joins me to talk about holiday cooking. So you want to hear the second hour. If you only have an hour, that's one you really want to pay attention to. Sort of a fun way to kind of look at the holidays from the faith, food, family perspective, and thanks to producer Jazz for putting that all together. That'll air a few times during the New Year's holiday break. Somebody asked, are you working next week? Yeah, I'm here Monday, Tuesday, off on New Year's Day, and then working Thursday and Friday. So probably more like regular shows. But I will tell you that on Tuesday, I believe it's Christian Snyder and James Wiggerson will join us. Again, sort of the same thing, looking back at 2024, but I really want to look ahead at 2025. Which leads me to the final thing I want to say on the program today. A lot of people ask me about what do you think of 2024? We obviously had the big presidential election. We hosted the RNC here in Milwaukee. I thought Milwaukee shined this summer. I think it was done very well. Security was amazing. And remember the context, right? We had a attempted assassination of former President Donald Trump days before the RNC started. And I was in and around this site for most of that week before I headed off to Germany with my listener trip. And I was impressed with the law enforcement, all the local folks doing their thing. And as Jeremy Janine said in the first half hour, there was winners and losers, obviously. That's almost always the case. But it showed that Milwaukee is a big-time American city. And I think that's something that I want to focus on in 2025. So as we look ahead on this program and all of our shows, what can we do to make the city even greater? And obviously MPS is part of that, local business, that story, what happens on our economy. And I've said before, and I highlighted it before, there are concerns about what will happen given some of the rhetoric coming out of Washington, D.C. We shall see. as they say. A couple other quick things. I'll be back next week. Don't forget the podcast, Scaffidi. We have a great one this Friday. Mary Spacuzza, who often joins me on the program. If you don't know the story, her cousin, August Palmanzano, was blown up essentially by the mob in Milwaukee, 1978. She tells that story on the podcast Friday. But more importantly, sort of the untold story and the connections to that story that sort of linger today in our area, the city of Milwaukee. And I told Mary when she was on the program and on the podcast that when you go to Las Vegas, you go to the Mob Museum, which is just north of Fremont Street, north of downtown Vegas. Milwaukee's prominently featured in the Mob Museum. And for all the bad reasons you would expect, like Chicago, with all of those stories from the 20s and 30s and 40s. We're going to be transitioning from the Decision Wisconsin podcast, which are still on our website. You can find them at Decision Wisconsin. Just go to WTMJ.com or wherever you get your podcast. Decision Wisconsin. Those will be archived there. And as Kristen and I announced earlier, we're going to be shifting to our You Need to Listen podcast, which is going to be brilliant and fun and topical and relevant, all those things, beginning in early January. So we will record our first one the first week of January, and we'll put it out there. And as always, we will welcome your comments. Final thoughts, take care of your family, obviously. And as Kristen said on her program yesterday, Spanning the State, when she had C.J. Safer on, our friend from the Institute for Reforming Government, politics is such a divisive subject, but it doesn't have to be. And you can go back to Ronald Reagan, who had some issues with divisiveness in his presidency, but he was also considered to be a uniter and a person who spoke sort of above the fray, if you want to look at the world of politics. And I think that messaging is important as we approach 2025. It doesn't have to be a war. It can be a conversation. We can disagree, yet still get along. And if you're shunning a family member because of politics, I would reevaluate that decision. To my friends of the program, Christian Snyder and Matt Smith, AJ Byatpour, James Wigderson, Jeremy Janine, Annie Schwartz, all of my legal guests, including Mary Kuhnmensch, James Santel, and Matt O'Neill, and all those folks, Tom Kuzmanovich, and, of course, Bill McCoshen and Joseph Beck, who wrap it up brilliantly every Friday. I look forward to 2025. I look forward to all of you listening in 2025. And to producer Jaslyn, fantastic year of work on this program. Keep the great work coming. We will see you next Monday on YouTube, and you'll hear me on the program Political Power Hour on 620 WTMJ. Merry Christmas, everybody.
WTMJ's Vince Vitrano talking with Dr. Mike Nolte at Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin. Doc, a lot of people are hesitant to visit a surgeon for spine care.
The good news